Welcome back to episode 3 of the Crafty Terrain podcast. Hope everybody's doing well. Thank you for joining us. Let's have a chat about what I've been up to. So I've got the base layers onto the Super Tactical Droid. See if I can just get that to focus in so you can sort of see. It's not finished. Just got the greens, stuck the base on. Basically, we wanted to put him on the table and I didn't want to play with a completely grey model. So that's where we're at with that. Did some more work on the Magna Guards. Second units, I've painted the capes and stuff like that, but it's slow process really on the painting front. I haven't had much time, but I have been busy making terrain. Knocked up these area terrain, like cover, difficult to move through. Blast craters, bit of a staple really for terrain making, and I hadn't done any, so I thought I'd do some. They look good on a lot of tables, and they're easy to do, and they're quite cost effective, and we'll have a video coming for them soon. Also, some more news on our giveaway, and there is a video out to have a look at what we're giving away. But basically, Lawrence, one of our patrons, who's a great terrain maker, not only does he make quality terrain, he makes it at an sensational pace really, has made these crystals for us to give away. I mean, you can see the size, these are some of the bigger ones, but you're going to get a full terrain, table of terrain basically, crystals, small, large, medium, barricades, and I mean, they look fantastic. So it's a pretty big giveaway for us. So, and that's going to go to our patrons, and at the time of filming this, we've got 29 patrons, so you're in with a good chance of winning that really. So if you'd like the opportunity to win it, you just have to be signed up to any one of our levels of our Patreon basically, and that'll give you how many entries you get into the draw. We're looking at doing the draw sometime in April, so consider signing up there. Check out the video where I've shown all the terrain that you're going to get in the prize basically, and we'll ship that to whoever wins it worldwide. So yeah, really good giveaway really. For a small channel like ours, it's a pretty big giveaway, so I hope people appreciate that. And again, thank you very much, Lawrence. The time and effort that you've put into making that to give away to someone in the community, it is fantastic, so thank you very much. So in the last episode, we talked about like battle decks and like future cards and stuff like that. And one of the comments I just thought I'd mention that the video got was from Ninja Duck, and he suggested that we get a condition card that affects vehicles, a bit like hostile environments, how like units keep suppression and lose activations and stuff like that. Suggested something where we have like an ion storm, and vehicles will pick up ion tokens either on a dice roll or just at the very start of the game, something like that. Basically, I think that'd be a good thing to have. You know, we don't have anything that affects vehicles from a condition point of view, so if anyone goes like vehicle heavy on a skew, obviously it might be good to have these in like lists that are just trooper based and stuff like that. So I thought that was a really good idea and thought I'd give that a mention. And then we also talked about the areas in which we paint and stuff like that on the painting tips with the hobby section. And Play Painted, who's one of our patrons, talked about how he'll take a break when he's painting sometimes, or if he hits a wall or struggling, just to give him a chance to like come back and reassess how the painting's going and take like a fresh look at the mini and stuff. And I thought that was a really useful tip. You don't always, you know, if you hit a bit of a rough patch where you're struggling, step away from the table, have a break, even if you leave it a day or so. And that made me think of something that I've always found useful, is taking mini when you think it's close to finished or you're stuck, and ask someone that's like, you know, doesn't really know about painting the mini what they see. So I sometimes just like, you know, ask a family member or whatever, show them the mini and just say to them, tell me when you look at this, tell me exactly like what you see and what you notice first and stuff like that. And then you'll know like if things don't look quite right. For example, like eyes, I wasn't good at painting eyes for a long period of time. If people look at it and go, I really noticed the eyes look really wide, then you know you need to like calm the eyes down or something like that. And it also helps if you've tried to put like a focal piece on the mini, then you'll know if that's actually working and standing out. So like I guess in Legion that would be like a lightsaber. If you've done some like object source lighting and stuff like that, they might really notice that. Another good thing as well is it'll tell you if your base works pretty good, because people always seem to notice the bases. And a good little painting tip, if you can paint a good face and a decent base, they say bases and faces go a long way, and they're like the first things that people look at when they look at your miniatures. So I just thought that was worth mentioning. I thought people might find that useful. Okay, so in today's show, what we're going to talk about in the hobby section, I want to talk about storage and how we store our minis and stuff like that, because there's many different ways of doing it. And I've recently just changed the way in which I store all of my miniatures. The new way I'm using it saved me space, and I think it's way more effective. So I just wanted to let people know how I'm doing that. And then also then when we come to talk about Legion, I want to talk about how we set up tables and terrain and stuff like that to give us a good play experience. And then just sort of what I'd like to see from AMG moving forward. So when it comes to storage, some things to consider. Cost is always going to be one. How much is it going to cost you to buy the actual storage units, and how much storage do you need? So how many minis do you have? How many factions do you have? And how do you plan your collection on going, basically? Are you just going to be playing one faction? Then that's fine, that will grow slowly. Or are you playing all four like we are at the channel? Then you need a bit more storage. So cost comes to play a point in that. And then room, where you're going to keep it all. So do you need something that's space saving, or is it okay to just sort of have it on display? So these are all things to consider before you make your choice. And over the years, I've used different methods, really. So when I was playing the Lord of the Rings game, I had a big glass cabinet in my old dining room. I used to keep things in there, especially things that I thought was like, nicely painted and I wanted to display. And this is a great way to do it, really, because they're not like the cheapest, but they're not overly expensive. And you can pick them up second hand and stuff like that, really, like the glass cabinets to display them. And sometimes they have like a nice lighting and stuff like that. So they can look quite good. And they're also nice if you're like a really good painter and you want to display your work for people when they come over to have a look at and stuff like that. It's a conversational piece, I guess. Problems that I found with that is, as the collection grew, I was just stuffing stuff into the case and it didn't look nice anymore. It was all just like sort of rammed in there and messy. And the one I had used to have like gaps around the tops of the doors and stuff like that, so like it wasn't really protected from dust. So if you are going to use like shelving, stuff like that, you need to think about how like airtight is it so the dust can't get in there, because especially if you go long periods of time without playing with certain minis, I was finding like when we took them out, there was always like covered in dust and stuff, so I'd have to use like a soft tips like makeup brush to like dust off all the dust and stuff. So that's one option to consider, and that might work for you, or it might be part of your storage. You might just have a small glass cabinet where you keep some of your really nice pieces that you want to display. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is the foam like army trays that you get, like the pick and pluck stuff, or the stuff that you can buy from Games Workshop. This was something I used for years, kept all my Lord of the Rings stuff in there, and then when I started to play Legion I bought more, and this is how I was storing my Legion stuff. You can also get like the carry cases that fit the trays perfectly if you want to take them to like, your local game store or to a friend's house to play. And this worked well for me for years, not a problem. Then as I got into Legion and my collection was starting to grow, I noticed I was keeping these foam trays in like large storage boxes, like plastic containers, and it was getting a bit bulky, and I was like, I'm going to run out of room. So it weren't going to stand the test of time for me as the collection grew. Don't get me wrong, I never had a problem from like a safety point. My minis was always kept safe, they never broke, it was well packaged, that sort of thing. But I did find from a cost point of view, when I was buying the large deep pick and pluck stuff to keep like the ATSTs in and the tanks, the saber, that sort of thing, that was quite expensive. I mean, like £20 for one of the like trays to take the foam out of was quite expensive, especially when you've got like a saber tank, 2 AATs, 2 ATSTs, and you could only fit 2 vehicles in each one. So I was finding when I bought 2 heavies, I had to buy and spend an extra £20 on a foam tray, and I thought, if this is going to keep growing, and then the snail tank got announced, I thought I need to sort of find a new way to store my minis, basically. So what I've done is I've moved away from that now, and My new way is like with magnets and plastic boxes, and I've got some of them to show you. Okay, so before I show you the boxes and stuff and talk about the magnets and all stuff like that, basically Duncan Rhodes Painting Academy, he's got a video and I followed that video to the T on how to make the box sort of thing. And it's cost effective, and it's really changed the way I'm storing my minis, and I'm so happy with it. So it's a great video. So if you are going to do this, I recommend going and watching that video. But basically you have plastic trays like this, for example, and these are like this is a 10 litre AA4 tray, and they are the really useful boxes. They're like a well-known like brand. Basically, they're not the cheapest, but they're sturdy and they stand the rest of the test of time. Then what you need is in there, these are the steel rubber sheeting. These ones I got off eBay. There was like £10 I think for 10 of them, and they're the self-adhesive ones. Don't buy the magnetic ones. I made the mistake of buying magnetic ones at the start, and that's not what you need. That for like sign making and stuff. It's got to be the steel rubber stuff, okay? And then basically they're A4 in size, so 2, and then you make a little cut, which Duncan covers in that video, and I've super glued them down, but they are self-adhesive, and that holds all of my CIS. And as you can see, look, the magnets hold them in place. And you just glue little magnets to the bottom of the bases. I mean, there's 6 units of B1s, there's 3 units of commando droids, 2 units of B2 battle droids, all my heroes, 1 lot of Magna Guard, and there's still plenty of room in that tray. So I've got 4 factions, they all fit in 1 tray. As you can see, they're nice and thin. So 4 trays stack up to about this height, and that's it. That's all 4 armies of Legion in there. If I sort of just show you here on Cad Bane how you just put a little magnet on the bottom. Now, it took me a while to find magnets that fit the Legion bases and stuff, and one of the patrons helped me out with that, so thank you very much in our Discord. But this is what I went with, and I've written this down. So they are 5mm magnets by 2.5mm in depth, and they fit perfectly under a standard miniature base for Legion. And I went with the N52 grade. That's a stronger grade of magnet, just so there's no chance or danger of them coming off. But then what I did find on certain like vehicles, like the next size bases up and stuff, like the speeder bases and stuff, they're not as deep, so you want 2mm magnets in depth. So 5mm by 2mm magnets for them, basically, to make them sort of fit. And I'll show you how I'm keeping like the larger units. So then these boxes here, this is a 9 litre A4 box, and this fits all your support troopers in. And anything big like Boba Fett's in there, and he's on a larger flight stand, and he fits in without having to, like, you know, get crushed sort of thing. And they just snap into place. I mean, you can turn the box upside down. That's how confident I am with the magnets and stuff. It's a real great way to store them. And then I've got 4 of these ones that I keep all my support units in for the rest of the armies. And then I've got 1 large big box that I'm keeping all my heavies in. So basically I've cut down my storage space and size probably at least over 50%, which is found really useful with Shadow Collective and stuff going to come out and stuff. I'm going to need some more storage. But then to make things really easy, they do this is a 4 litre box. Okay, A4. And now if you just want to go and take an army to your local game store, this is the perfect size box for 800 points. I mean, you could fit that in your backpack. It won't, you know, if you stuck the minis with decent magnets, it shouldn't move around, but you'd be happy to carry that round. And then in the actual 9 litre boxes, this is my one for transport that I keep nothing in. These will fit Sabre tanks and the AATs in. That was like what I showed you with the support units in just. But what I've done with this is I've cut one of the steel sheets and stuck it to the sides. So here and here. And the reason that I've done that, that will hold 2 ATSTs, believe it or not. With the poses that I've got my 2 in, I've managed to get them into this box. So yeah, basically I think it's a fantastic way to store your minis. I wish I'd have known about it years ago, but I didn't. I just went with what you see at your local game store and bought the foam pick and pluck. But I was a little bit cautious about going down the magnet route, but that video from Duncan Rhodes I found like fantastic. It's worked a treat for me. Bit of super glue, some magnets, and my storage space and safety, I think, as well. It's much better. So yeah, I hope you find that useful. I just wanted to share that information just because I guess there's going to be people that are new into the game, people with growing collections and things like that might find this useful. So yeah, give it a try. If there's anything you want to know, drop me a question. I'm happy to answer that sort of thing and help anybody out. But like I said, that video kind of explains it all, and it's like a 10-minute video, so you can't really go wrong if you just follow that video. So yeah, I'll just recap the sizes on everything there just so it's clear, so there's no confusion for everyone. So the boxes are all A4. One's the 9 litre. The 9 litre is what you can store your heavies and your support units in. The 4 litre is the small one that I said is good for transport to like game stores and stuff like that, or if you've got a small collection. And then the double A4 ones, which is the one that had all the CIS in at the start, they're the 10 litre ones, and they are the really useful boxes. If you search that on eBay, Amazon, they'll come up. They sell them at supermarkets and things and stuff as well. Then the magnets were 5mm, but with a 2.5mm depth, and they'll do all your standard like minis. And then for like your bigger units and your supports and stuff like that, you want the 5mm with the 2mm depth, and that was N52 grade. Okay, so Tactical Chicken asked about like terrain and table setups and stuff like that, and I know there is a guide out there online that's been, I think it was FFG that put this out on how to set a table up and stuff. So this is what I've found the easiest is, so your table's 6 foot in length, and you're meant to have at least a third of terrain on the table. So just measure 2 foot in from the short edge of the board and put all the terrain that you plan on playing into that area and make sure that it's covered. Okay, that way then you've got a third, and then spread it around the table basically. If you want a more dense board, just adjust your measurement. If you want to play it like 40%, or even if you want to sometimes have like a table that's just a quarter of terrain. Now that's not a bad thing. I think you should have a variety of tables when you play on, especially if you go into like events and stuff like that and there's multiple tables that are set up. I don't think every table needs to be at that 40% or a 30% mark. I think there should be tables with variety, even some that are more than that and that are dense. But then depending on your list and how you play, that's going to tailor how that table works. If you've got lots of infantry, then you don't mind having a very dense table. Where if you've got like lots of heavies or 2 heavies in your list with a large bases, you might want a table that's a bit more open so you can maneuver the vehicles, so to speak. So yeah, variety in your terrain, but I do think that having a third is a good place to start when you're just starting to play the game, and that's the easiest way to do that, and that's how I set up all my tables. Measure from the short edge, once I'm like 2 foot in, I'm a third, fill it full of terrain, and then move it around the table and spread it out. So in that third, what types of terrain do you need? So you definitely want at least 2 to 3 line of sight blocking pieces of terrain. Probably 2 big, maybe 1 small, or 2 big, 1 medium, 2 big, 2 small, something like that. But something like that you can get a unit, a squad of minis behind basically. It doesn't have to be enough to like obscure a big heavy, because that you're talking big pieces of terrain then, and you're not always going to have them on a table. So at least probably like 2 to 3 to 4 different sizes of line of sight blocking terrain. Then from there, you want some little scatter pieces of terrain like barricades. Always go with 4 to 6 barricades. But if you're just starting out, you might need more barricades because you don't have a large variety of terrain. Then something that you don't see a lot of really on like Legion tables and stuff like that is area terrain. That light cover, difficult to move to sort of stuff. This sort of stuff that I showed you at the start, because normally you have to make this sort of stuff where 3D printing and stuff in the last few years has exploded, which is absolutely great for Legion because bunkers, there's lots of stuff out there that you can print off, and you see a lot of the tables, you see a lot of the same printed stuff basically. But I do think having some area terrain that you've made, now it doesn't have to be like, really expensive or really detailed. You can just buy cloth, fabric, cut that out, stick a few plastic trees like from Woodland Scenic on it and call that a forest and call it area terrain, that sort of thing. But the way that Legion plays is I think you find you have better games if you have like terrain that offers like area cover and that's like difficult to move through and stuff like that. So then all of a sudden when you're building lists, it's like, do I take environmental gear? Things like that basically, because you're paying the points for it. So, but if you don't see any tables with them, you've wasted them points, so to speak. So I think it's good to have a variety of terrain on the table. So how do you make a table look good and give it that Star Wars feel? So I think a mixture basically of 3D printed stuff or plastic like stuff mixed with terrain that you've made that's got like a natural feel to it, like trees, swamps, that sort of thing. Really works well and gives that board a proper feel. So yeah, look into the 3D printed stuff. If you've got a 3D printer or you know someone with one and stuff like that, there's lots of files online, Thingiverse and stuff. If you just type in Star Wars Legion, they come up. And you can print them off. There's all sorts, there's lots basically. Just have a look, pages and pages of the stuff, and you can print some off. It's basically probably the cheapest way to get terrain. There's also companies out there and stuff like Imperial Terrain that got files and stuff that you can buy. What I've found is the stuff that you buy is like really good quality, where the stuff that you can get offline for free, sometimes the print quality is not as good. So I'm not knocking the free stuff, if that's what you want access to, then go for it. But if you don't mind spending a bit of money, then look, Imperial Terrain do some like really good stuff. They've got lots of files and stuff, like the Ruin set which we have is amazing. The Tatooine stuff's really nice and stuff as well. If you don't have access to a 3D printer and you don't want to be buying stuff, because you can just buy it already printed, and I think we've still got a starter set left on our eBay if you check that out, and I think that's quite reasonably priced compared to other stuff that's on eBay. Little shameless plug there. But then the other thing that I've used and got a lot of is the Rival model kits. I've got a couple here to sort of show you. So that's the X-Wing, and it's a good size for Legion. If I just grab a Legion Mini, I've got a rug. I mean, it's not exactly perfect, but there's a raw guard and there's the X-Wing like next to it. On the table, it looks fine. I'll give that like a wash and some weathering just to make it look realistic. You can get TIE fighters as well, and there's the TIE fighter. That was a first order TIE fighter and it was black, and basically I just sprayed it grey and then repainted in these bits black and just give it a wash sort of thing. You can get Vader's ship. There's lots out there, and they are the Rival like model kits. Just check the scale, because some of them are really small. I've made that mistake, bought them, didn't check the scale, they're coming and they're tiny and they're no good for Legion at all. But yeah, so just make sure you're following the right scale. Not the ATS, the ATAT, the AT-AT that we've got that you see in our battle reports and stuff, that's a Rival model kit, and that's the 1:53 scale, and that's just added a bit of weathering and stuff, and that looks really nice on a table also. Then your other option is to look at Hasbro toys. Now this was a ship that I wanted for a long time, it took me ages to find. I found it on eBay in the end, and that was Slave One. I know it's got a new name now, but no spoilers. So yeah, Slave One, and then all I done was add the weathering to that, and that's a Hasbro toy. And I mean, it's great scale for Legion, looks fantastic on a board. If you're putting Boba Fett on the table, then put this on the table as well. It gives you that like thematic feel, and it looks fantastic. And then if you're going to go into making terrain, obviously we've got some videos out there, go check them out. Some of them are like real simple beginner stuff, like the stuff for bushes with the fish plant tanks and stuff, and a bit of herbs and PVA glue. You're onto a winner. Just get onto that, make them, stick them on the table, they look great. Swamps and stuff are easy to do, sand and desert terrain, a lot of it's easy. You just got to be willing to have a go. You don't even need to spend much money, you just need a bit bit of wood or a decent base, and then some texture stuff. And like a lot of the stuff you can just find for free out there, or very cheap from hardware stores and pound shops or Dollarland and stuff like that. So yeah, I recommend getting stuck in with terrain, and don't be afraid, just have a go. If you do make mistakes, it's easy to correct when you're making terrain. Just, you know, if you've made a mistake, stick a bit of like grass tufts on it, or a bit of flock, or just paint it a different way, and just correct them mistakes basically. You know, I make tons of mistakes when making terrain, but they're just easy to hide, so it's not a problem. So just have a go, follow a video, and you'll pick up some skills, and before you know it, you'll feel real comfortable, and you'll just be making, you'll know the process. You won't even have to follow videos and stuff like that, or you'll have your own ideas and just run with it and just make your terrain. I'm always happy to help people. Just drop us a question if you're struggling with anything, or, you know, or put it on one of our terrain videos if you're watching something that doesn't quite make sense, and I'll be happy to explain it there. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything really. You got your terrain that's going to be natural that you made, or you've pre-bought it, like, you know, the woodland scenic stuff and things. You've got your 3D printed options that can look really nice with a little bit of paint on them, and then you've got your toys basically over the years that have come out. But I think the Hasbro stuff and the Revell model kits are your best bets to go through there. Remember, you go with a third terrain, use a variety of terrain, space it out. And just think about where you're putting it on the table basically. So for example, nowhere like the middle of the board is, because a lot of objectives are very centre based, like recover the supplies, key positions, intercept the transmissions. Nowhere the intercept the transmission markers go as well, so that's 3 set things. Think about like how that will interact with the game. And that was another part of the question that Tactical Chicken asked, was how do I feel about elevation in the game, and how does that like affect play, like for example, so like platforms and stuff like that. So obviously elevation offers cover. I think having like multiple layers and depth to the table really just adds to the game. I'm not opposed to it at all, basically. Some of the 3D printed stuff we've got is like this tall. Some of them crystals that we've now got are really tall. Things that you do have to be mindful of is like if they're in the middle of the table, and then you end up playing like recover the supplies, for example, you're going to have an elevated objective point. Now, is this necessarily a bad thing? Now, I know a lot of people are against this sort of thing, but then I'm not too bothered, to be honest. I think it could be a good thing. So like, for example, you can clamber to get up there. That's one action. And then climb it is another. Yes, you're stuck up there. You could get shot. So you're going to want to go last to then clamber back down and get away with the box, let's say, and recover the supplies. But there's keywords out there like jump. That gives that unit an advantage. And I think that's okay. And this is my thoughts on this. So when the game designers have made the game, they've put a point cost to the jump keyword, I guess. So you're paying, if I take a Jedi, I'm paying for jump, aren't I? So Dooku doesn't have jump, you're not paying for that. If you take jetpack rockets, you're paying to have jump. So if you just have a flat surface of like table, that jump becomes like devalued, so to speak. So, you know, I think you should have some elevation. Does it always have to be the centre of the board? No, I would be mindful of making it the centre of the board, but as a one-off, I think that's fine. So in a multi-table event, let's say there's 6 tables running, would it be a bad thing for one table to just have one piece of elevated terrain in the middle? I don't think it would be. I think it could, you know, I think that's fine. If you're really worried, then consider taking a unit with jump. So for these situations, you know, it's the reason that you put like environmental gears, it's on units, and why you upgrade things in a certain way. And look, that's what I think Legion is, isn't it? You build your list how you want to play your list, and you don't know the tables you're always going to play on. So you have to be prepared for, you know, all comers, so to speak. And I also think when you build a list, you want to be able to try and beat most lists that you might come across. So yeah, I'm not opposed to elevation. I think it adds to the game. It's good to have. Yeah, and it's welcome from my point of view. You know, not everyone will agree with that, and that's fine. You know, people play this game for different reasons and all the rest of it. I'm not opposed to anything. And if I play on a table with no elevation, I'd never moan. Do you know what I mean? That is the table that's there at the end of the day. and you've got to play what's in front of you. So yeah, each to their own, I guess, but I do like a bit of elevation on the table. And I know Nick really wants like catwalks. He wants to play with like certain things, and I think that'd be a good idea. It's just we've not got round to making any yet, and we haven't found a foil that would work. I'm a little dubious that 3D printed stuff can be a bit brittle, so if you printed it all with storage and it breaking and stuff like that. But yeah, it's something that we would like to add to our table in the future. So yeah, I hope I've covered most things there with terrain. I personally feel that terrain on a table is important. It adds to the thematic feel of the game. I like not all my minis to be painted as well when I play with them. I know that's just, again, it's a personal choice, that sort of thing. But if you are new, don't worry if you're just playing with like your terrain, just a few stacked up books and a few things that you find around an old shoebox or whatever you've got. Just playing the game is the most important thing and enjoying it. You've got your barricades from the starter set, throw a few things on the table, get some games in, and then, you know, test yourself, make some terrain, have a go, that sort of thing. But I think when you do play on a nice table with like minis that you've put some paint on and they're not just grey, it really adds to the like flavour, really adds to the thematic feel, and you'll have a better play experience. So for me, I just like to have some nice terrain. It's took us a while to get to that point, you know. Years ago when we was playing like the old Lord of the Rings stuff, some of the terrain we had was just a rock out the front garden, that sort of thing. But you know, people that I've played Lord of the Rings with, if you're listening, you'll understand what that rock was. It holds a sentimental place in all of our hearts, I guess. So yeah, play with whatever you've got, just enjoy the game basically. Okay, so finally then, I just want to talk a little bit about what I want to see from like AMG basically. What I think the game does well, and areas in which I think it can improve, because it's definitely got room for improvement. And I think, you know, if they want the game to keep growing, then things do need to improve. So let's start talking about shipping basically. And I guess this isn't an AMG thing. This is like, you know, Asmodee, the parent company, this is probably their problem, but it is something that needs to get addressed and fixed basically. You can't be selling products, set a release date, and then let's use Yoda for example, because I know that's been the latest one. The US didn't get it, Canada did, UK, Europe did, and they've only just got Yoda in America now. So it's just like, for whatever reason that has happened, you know, they don't ever tell you what the reason is, whether it was they underestimated that the stock that they needed to supply to the US, or whether a shipping containers fell off a ship and it's at the bottom of the ocean. At the end of the day, that is not the consumer's problem to have to deal with. It causes the consumer a problem because you've paid for the goods that you expect to receive on a certain date. So it's poor service. You know, it's the logistics that Asmodee, AMG, whoever it is, need to sort out basically, because it just leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. And if it's a one-off, I guess it's okay and it can be forgiven, but it's not a one-off. It's happened multiple times. Like, you know, the ARC Troopers, that was another thing that was like delayed or never got to where they needed to get to, and that was again rumoured it's another shipping container that's fell off. It's just like, you know, it's laughable almost. It's like at the bottom of the ocean is like a full Gar army. It's just like, it's not even funny, but you can do nothing but laugh. They don't even tell you what's going on, so there's just like a bit of a disconnect as well. So I think that's an area that could definitely improve, and this has got better. So credit where credit's due, but like the stock levels and stuff, in the UK, we've not had a problem with stock in a long time. We've been able to get whatever units that you want to get when they come out, like pre-order and stuff like that. But when I first started playing the game, you couldn't get Shore Troopers and Death Troopers literally in the UK for 12 months. I think we started in November 2019 and didn't eventually get them like on shelves in the UK till the following year, like 2020. Now, I appreciate we've had like, you know, COVID and everybody's had to deal with it, that sort of thing and stuff. But, you know, that being aside, I think these issues could have been dealt with and that was happening before COVID and stuff as well. So I think that's an area to improve on shipping. and like the logistical aspect of the company. And if they can't improve and stuff, and when mistakes happen, I think maybe they should just be a little bit more transparent and apologise and just say, look, we're really sorry, this has happened. You know, we're working on it, we're aiming to get better, so the consumer understands, you know, rather than just sort of silence and nothing getting said, or, you know, filtering out to people basically. So yeah, that's an area I think things could improve. What do I think they do well then? So from a game point of view, I think they've designed like an amazing game. The turn-based system, the way things work in Legion, the orders, the command phase, the battle decks. There's so much depth to the game, you know. And credit to Alex and Luke, you know, unfortunately aren't with the company anymore and stuff. But you know, I think AMG can build from that work, you know, and I think Alex and Luke's work should be acknowledged, and AMG can take that forward now. They don't need to tinker too much with it, stick to what the game is called, because I think that's what people love, whether it be the casual player playing on the kitchen table or to the tournament player playing. And the recent updates that they did with the like the erratas and stuff like that, I think was fine. The clones probably got hit a little bit hard. I think the token sharing change was fine. Anakin's improvements was really good. I think they probably went a step too far when they hit the arcs and took the surge off the surge crit. I think it was off the snipers and stuff. So I think that could have stayed. To be honest, critical one I think they had that they got removed. I think that could have stayed. I think the changes to take that clankers was enough to probably neuter the gun line with the token sharing if they were sick of seeing like the Rexstar sort of lists and that. So yeah, but on the whole I think the changes was good. Vader, the Empire, have they gone too far? We'll see if what lists keep winning things and stuff, but I've played like quite a bit now against Vader and with Vader, and I really like it. Vader feels how Vader should feel basically. If he's on the table, you've got to be wary of him, you've got to have a plan for him, that sort of thing. If you're using him, it's great, you know, his command cards feel strong, he feels strong, you feel quite confident in sticking him in a situation and letting him handle a certain part of the table, or handle your opponent's like, you know, power units and stuff. So I'm happy with the changes, you know. When changes happen, there's always winners and losers. There's always going to be people that are happy. There's always going to be people that are unhappy and stuff. So, you know, it's just how it shakes out. Empire might have its day in the sun now, and again, eventually, probably clones, it will come full circle. But I do think the list that Timbo champions with the Saber and Yoda and Padme, I do think that is still going to be a, you know, top tier list that you're going to see at final tables, and have to have a plan for, and have to, if you want to win events, you're probably going to have to go through that list to win an event. So make your plans for it, sort of thing. So yeah, I think the game in a whole is the biggest credit to them. The way it works, the new units and the sculpts and stuff are fantastic. The Wookiees, the Magna Guards, have been the most recent stuff that I've painted, and they are amazing minis. They look fantastic when you get a paint job on them and stuff like that. So credit to the people that are making the sculpts and stuff and designing the miniatures, because you're doing a real good job. From where the game was with the soft plastic with no variety, and I know some people like them because they go together real easy, gluing and stuff, you know, and that's fine. But then there's some people that want to, you know, you've got alternate options when you're building your minis now, different heads, different weapons, different poses, and that's always nice to have a bit of variety and a bit of uniqueness to how you want to build your army, I think. So all credit there. One thing I think that needs to happen, and this isn't a good or a bad thing, this is just something that I think now needs to happen basically. We need to have a card pack basically for all the changes that have happened, because there's so many units that have been errated and changed, like points, keywords, and things like that now, that for a beginner coming into the game and you buy the units, let's say you buy Han Solo, wow, he's completely different now. Points, keywords, all those sort of things. It's like you can get a little bit lost. So like, and this is me myself as well. When we're playing games now and we're putting all the units on the table, trying to remember all the changes to like command cards, unit keywords, it's difficult to follow. So as a new player who's trying to learn the game, it's like, oh, you've just bought this, but you go and play, and then someone's like, oh, that don't do that anymore. So Darkness Descends doesn't do what it does on the card anymore, basically, for Vader, nor does Implacable. So can we get a card pack with all the updated stuff, basically? I don't know, maybe do you just throw it into another box? I'm not sure whether that works, because then you've got to buy the box if you don't play anything, or you just put it out there. Of course, it's going to cost them money, so you're going to have to pay for that, but, you know, I wouldn't have a problem with that, depending on the cost, as long as they appreciate it's something that the game and the players need, so they don't try to make a stupid profit margin on it, and they just keep it at sort of like, you know, a small profit margin, so it's got value to everyone. I think most people would buy that, because having the actual updated cards is what you want when you're playing. Or you just move away from cards and they just bring out an app. And to be fair, that's what I use. I use Fifth Trooper app or Tabletop Admiral, basically, for your units. When you want to check a keyword that's on there, just go to that, rather than having to go to the errata thing that they released and search for the keywords. It's just long. Have your list on your phone, and then you can just look at your list on the app, the Fifth Trooper one or Tabletop Admiral, and all your keywords and there and stuff for you. But yeah, that's some of the changes I think that I'd like to see. Sort out the shipping, sort out supply if there are any supply issues and stuff like that. Keep making the game the way that you're making it. Don't need to change too much, you know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Shadow Collective and stuff coming out, if that is the stuff that AMG have now had their hand in and made their game design to, basically. So and then one other thing I'd love to see is just the way that they market and have spoilers coming out. I think, like, we had the Shadow Collective and the new Maul and the Mando, the Deathwatch Mandos. We had them previewed like months ago, and then it's just been sort of like radio silence. I know they did a few like painting streams and stuff like that where when they was talking about like the erratas and stuff, and that was nice. But I think that was like October, November. Now we're getting to the end of January and we've had nothing. You know, give content creators something to talk about, create a buzz, create hype around the game, get the community talking. Like, it doesn't even have to be big. They could have just give us like one command card to the Pikes, or something like that, or just fully like reveal like the points to them, or because I know they've showed you the unit card, or show you like a commander that they're gonna get. Just give us something to talk about. But I think if you do that, then you've got to be sure when you're releasing stuff, basically, because I'm not a fan of when they give you the preview months and months in advance, and then you're like, oh, this is great, and you just have to wait, and all the hype dies down, and then it doesn't come out for ages, that sort of thing. So, like, the way that Magic the Gathering does it, I think that works really well. They have a new box set coming out, an expansion, and like a month before or 6 weeks before that, they'll start drip feeding you a card here and there every week, and it just creates a buzz. People are talking. If you go into like your Friday Night Magic, people are, oh, this will go well in that deck. It gets people talking about, well, in Legion point of view, get you talking about what lists you can build, how this will fit in here, and that sort of thing. Okay, yeah, so that's what I would like to see from AMG going forward and stuff. Hopefully we can get that. Let us know down in the comments, what would you like to see? Do you agree? Do you disagree with what I'm saying? You know, it's fine to have your own opinion. Let us know in the comments what you want to see, what you think will work well, what your opinions are on table building. Consider subscribing, leave us a like on the video. I'm really happy with how the podcast's going. Hopefully people are enjoying it. We're getting some great comments and stuff like that, so that's always nice. Hit the bell on the subscribe so you get notifications when we're dropping terrain videos, battle reports, a podcast. You know, we're working really hard at the channel. We're trying to grow it, releasing more videos and stuff like that, trying to help the community, help the game grow. Don't forget that giveaway as well. You know, that's coming up in April. Big giveaway. If you are struggling for terrain, then there you go. There's an excellent way to win a fantastic looking table. Yeah, I think that's everything from me. Thanks everyone that's supporting us. Thanks to all our amazing Patreons. Look forward to communicating with anyone in the comments. Until next time, may all your rolls be crits, and take care and stay safe.